luckily we found somebody who can make sense of it all. He's standing currently in the rain down in College Green, Westminster, the HQ of the world's greatest democracy. He is the one and only Dale Vince, founder of Ecotricity. Dale, a very good morning to you.
Thank you, Mike. Morning to you too.
Yeah, shouldn't you be at Lord's throwing some orange powder around or something?
Yeah, I should be. You're right. Damn, I missed my opportunity.
Today, the rain stops play today, presumably, but your mates from Just Stop Oil caused a bit of a flurry yesterday. Things are not going well for them, though, because despite the fact that they keep interrupting everything, nobody's taking them seriously anymore. Not even one of the guys that used to give them money.
He thought the tactics weren't working. He said that actually we need to build bridges and consensus and get people on board rather than protest and disrupt.
Yeah.
He used apartheid South Africa as an example. He said after apartheid ended, you know, they all got together and had a big old hug-in, which is the right thing to do. But the fight against fossil fuels here in our country hasn't finished. It's ongoing right now, and so we have to disrupt and protest and use every other means we've got until the election comes, and then we get the chance to vote about it.
Well, yeah, well, that's when you get the chance to give more money to Keir Starmer, so he does what you want. But we're talking about Trevor Nielsen, the co-founder of the Climate Emergency Fund. He basically said this: working people that are trying to get to their jobs, get their kids dropped off at school, survive a brutal cost of living crisis, there's a certain hierarchy of needs that they have. If at the same time they have a pink-haired, tattooed, pierced protester standing in front of their car so that their kid is late for their test that day, that does not encourage them to join the movement. It's not accomplishing anything. And I think he's right, because people always say, oh, you know, they're raising awareness of climate change. They're not really, because all that anybody ever says, and you saw it at Lord's yesterday, people just boo them. They think they're idiots. They don't have any interest in what they've got to say. And so the message actually is going nowhere.
Yeah, I lost a lot of that, Mikey, with a bad line, but I got the gist of it. Look, I disagree with him, and I think what he said about pink-haired tattoos, all that kind of stuff, I think it was slightly prejudicial, really. So borderline racism. I don't think that was a good look.
Well, it's now racism to call... Well, I'll tell you what's racist. I'll tell you what's racist, Dale, is that Just Stop Oil is a completely white organisation. Isn't that racist?
Just on the point of success or not, it's getting pretty loud here now. On the point of success...
They're coming for you.
For the last 3 weeks at least. Yeah, that's it. Damn. We've been talking on radio, on TV, in print about the climate crisis, the fact that it's driven by fossil fuels. We know we have to stop drilling for more of them. That's the global scientific consensus, and that's why Just Stop Oil are protesting. We've been talking about that on all channels for 3 weeks. I say that's a measure of their success, whatever else anybody else thinks or says.
Well, I mean, if it's such a success, why do they keep doing it?
They haven't won. They haven't
it's
won,
not
but
success.
we're getting airtime.
So what, have you redefined
problem.
the word success then? Because, I mean, if they haven't won, it's not success, is it?
Well, there's battles and wars, right? You can win battles, but not the war. We haven't won the war yet, right? We haven't stopped.
You're not going to win it,
reckless exploration for new oil and gas in the North Sea. I think we will. I think so.
Yeah, but the trouble is, the more that
I'll come out to the studio with some orange paint.
But the more that you're never getting in here now. That's it. You're never getting in. The point is, or at least it'll be like that scene from that mafia movie when once you do get in, if you do it, it will just go, now you can't leave. You know, it will just beat you to a pulp with a rubber hose. But anyway, the point is this, right? That the consensus is moving, because the more people actually realise that this is all a bit of a con, and lots of people are making an awful lot of money out of it, that basically it's not necessary and it's not doable. I mean, even the Labour Party, your new mates, you know, who are basically doing whatever you want them to do, have said we can't really commit to doing what we said we were going to do in the North Sea, so we're going to put it on the back burner and we're going to wait for the second term. So even they know that they can't actually make it happen.
I think you conflated a few different things there. What Labour have said is the $28 billion a year they said they were going to spend on the green economy won't be spent in full on the first year, maybe not even the second year,
or the third.
But they will get there within the first term. And in terms of affordability, Mikey, you know, we're giving $3 billion to a state-owned energy company, Norwegian state-owned energy company, to open up that big oil field, the Rosebank oil field. 3 billion quid. They'll spend 300 million to develop that. The oil will be exported. It won't lower our energy bills. All it will do is increase carbon in the atmosphere for no economic gain. We haven't made money out of the North Sea for years. It's madness. Rishi Sunak calls it economically illiterate not to drill for oil and gas, but it's actually the opposite. It's economically illiterate to do so. It's also climate illiterate to do so. You know, we don't need more oil and gas. There's no shortage in the world. There's plenty of it. We don't need to make more stuff here. We need to move ahead with this transition. We spend 10 billion a year subsidizing fossil fuels in our country. It's a substantial sum of money that can get us to 100% green energy within probably 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, the trouble with green energy, though, is it's not always working, is it? That's the problem. And then maybe it needs to be... you would convince me of your argument, Dale, if it was a more reliable source of energy. But it isn't, is it? Because your point is, you know, sometimes you can't collect wind energy, sometimes you can't collect solar energy, sometimes you can't collect wave energy because of the conditions that happen to be that day not very good. So it's not reliable enough to have nothing to back it up, is it? So you still need the backup of the coal-fired power stations. You still need the backup of, you know, gas to make your electricity from.
The thing is, the unpredictable, what could we call it? It's
You're not denying anything I've just said, are you? You're not denying that.
Let me get to it. We know that it's intermittent, and we can plan for that. The National Grid themselves say that we can be 100% powered by renewable energy. The National Grid says that.
National Grid don't know what they're talking about.
Approaches for managing...
I mean, if the National Grid...
do on this thing.
No, I don't think so. If the National Grid knew what they were doing, you know, I might have some faith in them, but the National Grid doesn't know what they're doing, do they? Come on.
So let me get to the power station point on standby. A power station on standby isn't doing any harm. It's on standby. So it's not actually such a bad world, the one you've described, where we've got 100% made by wind and sun, and when the sun doesn't shine or the wind doesn't blow at the same time, which is quite rare, then we fire up a power station. That's not the end of the world. And we don't have to build a new power station for that, because we've got them.
But what do you fire it up with?
Gas, not coal, gas.
Gas? And where'd you get the gas from?
Fired up with gas.
Where'd you get the gas from?
Well, we've got gas. We have an abundance of gas. But what we would do in the process, Mike, is reduce our consumption of fossil fuels to something like that. Well, half of the gas that Britain uses today comes from the North Sea. We've got a load of it there. So I can't say that, can I?
No, you can't. I have to apologise for that, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't realise that you were going to use that technical term. You know, but I mean, I prefer bucket load.
I'm all about technical stuff.
Yeah, I know that. But this is the point. Okay. You know, the point is this, right? Yes, you can have that backup, but you then still need to be exploring, because it's not an infinite amount of gas that you've got in the North Sea. You have to keep finding new areas of gas, otherwise you have to buy it in. And we see what happened in Germany. They were so reliant on Russian gas that they ended up having to switch everything off and go back to nuclear and coal. And that's what they're now doing, because they've realised the folly of policies like yours.
You make a brilliant point, Mike.
Thank you.
Fossil fuels run out. They run out. They're a single-use fuel. You burn them, they're gone. You've got to find more.
Exactly.
Renewable energy never runs out. Never.
Yeah, but you've just told me we need to have...
What are you going to spend your money on?
Yeah, but you've just told me we always need to have gas as a backup. We will always need to have it. Right?
No, I didn't. I said in that scenario that you paint, where we have backup generation, I said that's not the end of the world. I see that as part of a transition as we get to 100%, as the smart grid technologies come in, the grid scale storage, the load management, all of the things that the National Grid will do to enable us to run 100% on renewable energy. We're talking about a 10-year transition, and in that transition we can use existing power stations to plug the gaps.
Yeah, but we don't even have enough of a national grid to power the electric cars that we've got in this country, Dale. So we're a very long way away from what you describe as the kind of nirvana of renewable energy, because we just don't have enough of it.
But we do, right? Most electric cars, 70% of people in our country have off-street parking, which means they can charge their cars at night. And this is a time when demand on the grid is super low. And so it actually makes the grid more efficient if we all have electric cars and plug them in at night.
No.
Because it raises the load factor of the national grid.
No, well, you can't just plug everything in at night. What if you live in a block of flats? Where are you going to plug it into?
I said 70% of people have access to off-street parking. The other 30 don't, so that's a different challenge.
I'm not sure that's the right number, because certainly in my street, you would have about 100% of people who don't have anywhere to park their cars. I'll tell you why. Because the local council wants them to pay to park in a place where it used to be free. Right? So they don't, you know, this is the usual madness. I'm also being handed a piece of breaking news that the National Grid is going to be deprived of any kind of emergency coal reserves this winter because Drax and EDF have closed their power stations. So there's going to be no backup coal power plants this winter, right? So they've ended talks. So there isn't going to be any saving grace from the coal-fired power stations. It's not going to happen.
But that'd be okay. We can get through the winter. The Germans got through the winter and they lost 40% of their gas supply when the Russians turned it off. We only had 4% from Russia. Excuse me. We can get through the winter if we do what the Germans did, which is advise the citizens to use less energy. Our government didn't want to do that.
I'm not interested in being advised. I'm not interested in using less energy.
In that case, we'll have power cuts.
Yeah, well, I'm not interested in using less energy.
Well, you should be.
Why?
If you don't want power cuts, you should be.
No, I don't live in a third world. I don't live in a third world. I don't live in a place where energy is in short supply. I live in what is generally regarded as a first world country in a modern civilization in which I expect when I switch the light on that it comes on. Not that the house bursts into flames because nobody knows what's going on. It's ludicrous. If you want to go and live in a cave, go and live in a bloody cave in Gloucestershire. You know, I don't.
I think you're being a bit extreme here, Mikey.
Not at all. Not at all. You want to live. You want to live without. You know. You want to wash your clothes down by the river. You know. You want to get rid of all your machinery, and you want to. You know, heat everything over a single. You know, piece of candle. You know. You want to eat raw fish. You be my guest, mate. But you know, you can't tell everybody else to live like that.
Okay, so what I said was actually we can use less energy to avoid power cuts.
Well, like, what do you suggest?
That's what I said. Use less energy to avoid power cuts. The Germans reduced their energy consumption by 15%, which is a mad amount of energy. What do I suggest? Turn things down, turn things off.
What did they stop using their saunas or something?
Turn stuff off when you're not using it.
They stop using their saunas or something.
we can save mad amount. But we live wastefully. We live wastefully because we have that attitude. The flick a switch, it all comes. You just told me you did.
No, I didn't. I did not say I lived wastefully. I said I lived a life which is tantamount to living in a civilised society in the modern world, i.e. I use electricity to cook, you know, I put the lights on, I don't like walking around with candles, you know, I have a car that needs fuel to put in it so I can go and visit people that I love, you know, I get on planes so that I can go and have a nice holiday because I work so hard that I deserve to have a bit of R&R. I like to use a swimming pool, which needs to be filtered. I like to swim in the sea occasionally. I like to eat food in restaurants. In New York, they're having a real battle with the authorities there because the idiots are trying to get rid of gas cookers, which is news to any chef in New York City who have used gas cookers all their lives.
I've lost you.
You can't go on like this, Dale. Have you lost us?
I lost a lot of that, but I think I got the flavour of it.
Maybe you need to turn up the volume. Stop turning the volume down.
It's your shoddy third world equipment, man.
Yeah, well, we're trying to save energy. This is why it doesn't work, right? A very green company I work for. Anyway, listen, what are you doing in London? Are you going to be walking slowly around later?
The sun's coming out.
Are you going to be walking? Well, it always does on this show.
What am I doing in London?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah, I've got no orange bombs with me. It's not that.
Right.
I'm here for an event at the House of Lords called the Young Green Britain Awards. It's a competition among schools and kids that have got together to create solutions to the climate crisis and environment issues and stuff like that.
Haven't they suffered
and
enough?
It's like a national final. Kids.
Yeah. Also, good luck finding anybody young in the House of Lords.
Well, we're going to bring them. We're going to find them there.
Okay.
They're going to come here. Excuse me.
All right. Well, try not to glue yourself
and the sun's come out. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, of course. I ordered it. I ordered the sun to come out. You know, you can get rid of the umbrella, save yourself some energy.
I thought the sun couldn't be controlled.
There you go. There it is.
With the power.
Let there be light.
There we go.
Brilliant. There you are. Dale Vince, thank you very much indeed. Dale Vince there, founder of Ecotricity. He's off to the House of Lords, don't you know? Oh, super. Marvellous. Great life, isn't it? Get a few subsidies from the government, make a few million quid, start your own football club, make them all eat vegan food, and tell everybody to stop using any power. Great. Why not? Why didn't put him in charge?